Hello, everyone. Welcome, Magical Christmas Markets Group. I should say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where it is that you are tuning in from. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sally, and I am the moderator and the administrator and the creator of Magical Christmas Markets Group. Um, I like to say I'm the man behind the curtain. So if you ever need me for anything, you can always feel free to private message me, or my information is up in the featured section. So I wanted to welcome everyone today to our Christmas in July celebration, which we are kicking off today with our first guest, who I have to say I'm a little ridiculously excited to introduce. We're going to be here today with Roger the Castle Man, who is with Celtic Castles, which is a beautiful product. And Roger will go through all of the properties and the way that you can spend Christmas in a castle, or other times during the year, if that's not a good time for you to travel. This is a product that he'll go through all of the times and the areas that you can look at and tell us how we can make that a reality. Roger and I span a few time zones, so it was a little bit of an effort to get this together. So I just wanted to thank Roger so much for putting this together for us. And I'm not going to talk much more. I'm just going to, without further ado, introduce Roger. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you very much, Sally, and thank you for the invite.
Yes.
Hello everyone. And it's a pleasure to be with you today. As you've probably seen on my little label there, and Sally mentioned it, I'm known as Roger the Castle Man because I have slept in more castles, I am told, than anyone else in the world. So hopefully I know a little bit about these castles and I will be able to share that with you. But I thought I might just ask you all just to close your eyes for a minute and just think about a castle. So I want you just to imagine waking up on Christmas morning in a real castle. The fire is crackling, the snow is falling outside as you look through the stone-framed windows. There's the biggest and grandest Christmas tree you've ever seen, with lights that sparkle as you walk into the great hall. As you come down the stairs for breakfast, you've smelt the aroma from the kitchen. You've arrived. You didn't see the castle last night because it was dark when you arrived at the front door, but now you can see it in its full Christmas glory. I think we're probably in our Christmas castles now. You can open your eyes.
I'm so excited. I love it.
What I thought we would do is just have a look at the different types of castles that are available for Christmas days, and we'll also touch just on what they offer as they go through. So basically, we have all-inclusive castle hotels where you would buy a room, vacation rental properties where it's a bit of a do-it-yourself job. So you'll be cooking, but you generally get a slightly bigger castle for less money. And then when we look at the private castles where they're fully staffed, you can, just live the life of a king and queen with your guests or family and friends. And then, castles aren't just for Christmas. So I'll talk a little bit as well about how you choose a castle and some of the challenges that we come across when customers come to us when they're just overwhelmed with choice. And then we can have a bit of question and answering at the end. We'll get the mics open and we can, I'll do my best to help with anything. So if we have a look at sort of finding these castles, I've just picked a couple of pages off our website as we go through. If you haven't been on the site, by all means, after this, just go and have a look around and Sally can pop a link up on the group.
I will.
But if we look at castle hotels to start with, generally what happens is they package their offering into sort of 3 days. So you're going to get Christmas Eve through to the 27th. You'll obviously be sharing with other guests because these are hotels, or you might be there with a couple of friends. You've got a few rooms so you can gather together and enjoy the experience. But you're going to meet some very interesting people when you're at the property. Some of these castles will just do a dinner, bed and breakfast option. So if you just want to, relax in luxury and just have a quiet Christmas, that's available. But for those who want a little bit more of activities and a bit more, if you're in Scotland, you want to have the Piper, etc., that's also available. And they come in at a slightly higher price. And I'll touch on sort of prices and what's available as we go through. With the self-catering option, the castles tend to be smaller, but you're buying a property that generally would be let for 7 days. So it's going to be for 6 to maybe 20 people. And from there, then you will have the run of the whole property. You will be the laird of your castle for the week that you're there. And then when we get into the exclusive use or the private castles, we're really stepping up a gear. So these are sort of from 12 up to generally 30, but sometimes 50 people. Um, and what you're buying into here is just arriving and being pampered from the moment you arrive. The butler will take your luggage in, there will be maids in there, it's fully staffed, you'll have, a private chef, etc., etc., and nothing is too much. And again, activities can be dropped in as well. And these castles obviously tend to be bigger. They are, in a lot of cases, family homes as well. So you do get a touch of what sort of, castle life is really like for these owners. Price ranges, I'll touch on those as we go through. But as we're in July at the moment, we're already advertising, you know, Christmas 2026. But what tends to happen is we're trying to get the castles to get the packages out earlier year after year, but sometimes they're not doing it until the summertime. So those that do get it out early will, sell quickly, and others will drip feed. But the peak booking season really for properties that are bringing their stuff out sort of third month of the year, fourth month of the year is generally after the summer holidays. People are starting to think about Christmas, but that sometimes is too late. So people who've had the experience will come straight back and book in January if the packages are available. Otherwise, we just run wait lists, and as they become available, we share them. So all of that, just be aware that castles are in high demand all the time, and especially for these lovely packages. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the hotels. So here's a few properties. I'm going to focus on Langley Castle to start with. And Langley is in the north of England. So if you're aware of the Newcastle line, then you'll see Langley sort of in the middle of that line between both coastlines. It's near Hadrian's Wall, if you know the UK geography. Now, the castle itself is a classic sand castle. It's got four towers. It's beautiful inside. There are 9 bedrooms in the castle itself, and they just do a dinner, bed and breakfast package. Rate. So there's no activities with this. And this would be an example of a castle in the tower itself. And this is an example of what are called the Castle View rooms. And they're not as ornate or not as rustic inside, but one of the benefits of these particular rooms is you get a chance to actually see the castle from your window. So you're down below, and they're actually located in the building at the top middle of that picture. So you're down looking up at the castle itself, but you have full access to the castle while you're staying there. And well, in fact, I was just reading one of the comments from a client last year. And I'll not read the full comment, you can read that on the website. But basically, Langley Castle provided the perfect setting for a Christmas getaway. We can't wait to return. And again, that's one of the things that stimulates demand. Once somebody's had an experience at one of these castles, they do want to return for 2 or 3 times each following year. So that increases demand as well. So that's a good example. But from a cost point of view, as I mentioned earlier, the element of castle rooms, they are all taken now, but we do have Castle View. and they are as nice, but not with stone walls and all the castellated features that go with that. So, taking this on to another castle, this is down about 2 hours from London, directly east, or rather directly west of London along the M4, near Bristol and Bath. And this is Thornbury Castle. So, this package has a lot included in it. And obviously, the price will go up as well from that point of view, but it is full of history. So this is a 500-year-old Tudor castle, famous for Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, etc. So it just oozes history, and it's got a lovely feel to it. And if you look at the inner garden, that's just, again, very fitting to what it would have been like in Tudor times. And then also there's a church literally 5 minutes walk away. But within this package, and as I say, it's dinner, bed, and breakfast with activities, afternoon tea, carol singers, champagne and canapé reception before your three-course dinner, and live music. So that's just Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, you can go to church, which is, as I say, just beside the castle itself. Again, champagne drinks, reception followed by a four-course Christmas lunch, and then a live radio broadcast from the King's Message. If you want to listen to that, that will be available. They also do a Tudor Quest treasure hunt, so you really get into the nuts and bolts of history at the castle, and that's good fun. Pre-dinner, festive cocktail, and then during your meal, live acoustic entertainment. And on Boxing Day, a relaxing lunch, Tudor-inspired activities, which include axe throwing and long bow archery. And I'm pretty useless at that. I always miss the target, but it's good fun. And then again, a pre-dinner, a glass of champagne in the lounge, followed by a five-course gala dinner and live music entertainment. So a lot more in this package itself. And again, if you look inside, this is the Henry VIII room. It's got a lovely feel to it, very spacious. And, that's the sort of character that you're going to have within the castle itself. It was refurbished about 4 or 5 years ago to a very, very high standard. There are still rooms left there, and prices are in and around sort of 3, 8 to £5,500 for a
Oh,
room. And from that point of view, that translates in dollars sort of from 5,300 up to $7,500. So that also gives you an idea of the difference between something that has been, which is just dinner, bed, and breakfast, versus something that has a lot of activities involved in them. But again, a super place full of history and, a nice environment to be in. So from the castle hotels, if we move on to the vacation rental properties, you get a lot more for your money. So in effect, the cost of possibly, one room can give you a whole castle. And this one I'm going to look at here is called Castle Law, and it's in southwest Scotland. It sleeps 12 people, and actually it was gifted to a princess when it was built. So there's a lovely history behind it. And of course, lovely views over the west coast of Scotland there and the islands. Inside, this is the kitchen area. So you do have to duck underneath that arch to get to the Arga, but it's a great kitchen and fun kitchen to cook in. I've cooked in there many's a time. And then on the other side of the kitchen, you've got it's all in the Great Hall. So you've got the fireplace and the lounge area. So that in itself, again, is very, very atmospheric. And to top everything off, it has a stone spiral staircase which runs through the whole property. So you're properly getting a rustic castle. And of course, you're now the laird of this castle during your stay. And remember, with vacation rentals, it's a 7-day let. It's not a 3-day package. You're cooking yourself, but you could get a chef in if you book them far enough in advance. And for this castle, it's £6,500 for the week, or just under $9,000 if we're translating it from there. And that's for 12 guests. So you get a lot of castle for your dollar.
that's very reasonable.
Yes, yeah. And that atmosphere. I mean, when I stay there, I just want to sit in the Great Hall and just imagine,
Uh,
what history has walked through this property.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this spiral staircase and it reminds me of Robin Hood.
Oh, indeed, indeed. And there's a story about why they go, in a certain way, anti-clockwise, linked with swords and defending the
Yes,
castle. So that's quite interesting. But
yes.
one of the great things is, literally 2 minutes down the hill, there's a railway station which takes you straight into Glasgow. So it's really easy to get to as well. Now, on to the exclusive private castles. And what you've got here then are properties that are sort of from 14 up to 30 to 50 people, depending on the size of the property. And these are, I mean, there are no two castles the same, to be fair. So they're very, very different. And you'll see, just with this photography. This is a property called Killocken Castle, which is down near Turnberry and True, or south of Ayr, on the southwest coast of Scotland. And it sits in its own private grounds. And this exclusive package is has got lots of treats in it. So from the point of view of it's a 14th century castle, 17-year old or 700 years old. It was bought 4 years ago and refurbished. So it's so luxurious inside. But things that they've got in their package include a Scottish piper with a welcome cocktail when you arrive. You get a castle tour, which is interesting, and then they, touch little bits of history and show you priest holes and whatnot. Carol singers, owl handling experience, so you can, work with birds, and the falconer will come in and show you that. Festive afternoon tea, Christmas movies and snacks in the cinema. This particular castle has a cinema. And then on Christmas Day, you can open your presents in the Great Hall with a lovely hot chocolate or maybe a nice latte. Pre-lunch champagne and canopies on a Boxing Day, archery and clay pigeon shooting on the lawn, whiskey tasting, and then a ceilidh in the castle at night. So there's a lot in this particular castle's offering. And then you look at its location. It's just sitting, surrounded by trees. It's a very private area. And from that point of view, obviously cost reflects that. So for 4 nights, and this is a 4 night package and not three, that's coming in at £60,000, and that's inclusive of everything bar alcohol. And It's for 18 guests, so again, slightly bigger. And if you're looking at that as a cost per person, it's under $5,000 per person for 4 days. So again, if you want to get a group of family or friends together, that is achievable. You can also take this
If
castle.
someone's coming over from the United States or anywhere, do they rent a car and they keep that there? You would need a car, obviously.
There's a lot of ways you can do it. You could rent a car, you could get transport down. With this castle, we can arrange a transfer from Glasgow Airport or Edinburgh Airport.
Right.
So again, when you get up into the private castles, there's a lot more flexibility, and they can add stuff on.
Absolutely.
But like anything, renting a car gives you most flexibility, but a taxi could take you there, or again, some of the properties have their own chauffeurs and will be able to pick up and drop off.
Great.
This castle can also be taken on a self-catering basis, vacation rental, which obviously comes in at about half the price. And the kitchen is fine to work in as well. It's not a commercial kitchen, so you can, use it as you would at home. So that works quite nicely. This was the bedroom I slept in the last time I was there. It's actually the owner's bedroom, but really nice. This is my wife here as we were outside the castle. So it is a lovely property and has a great feel when you walk into it. And the staff there are absolutely fantastic. If we look at another one, this is Borthwick Castle. Now, great location with Borthwick and fantastic history. This castle sits literally 7 miles, 7, 8 miles south of Edinburgh, but it has 600 years of Scottish history. Mary Queen of Scots was protected here in 1567, and Oliver Cromwell tried to knock the castle down with cannonballs in 1650, and the scars on the outside walls are still there. Now, these walls are 15 feet thick. There is no way he was going to knock this castle down at all. But it's absolutely beautiful inside. 6 or 7 years ago, they spent a huge amount of money refurbishing it, so it is top end. It's probably the best authentic medieval castle in Scotland, I would say. Um, for bed and breakfast, it has 12 bedrooms and will sleep up to 26 guests. That comes in at £55,000 for the castle. Dinner and food would be on top of that. Work on about 150 to £200 per day per person. But you're talking for bed and breakfast, $75,000. Minimum 3 night stay. And that's going to work out at about $4,000 with food per person. So, again, that would be about the right rate. So the castle itself is just lovely. And then all the beds in the property have been hand carved and handmade. And they're beautiful inside. So very, very sumptuous. And all the rooms sit in the towers in the corner. So you go up and there's huge, big spaces in between the castle. It looks huge, but it just has, as I say, 12 bedrooms. Staff there again are great. The food is fantastic, and the location obviously gives you great access to Edinburgh if you want it. So that's a selection of the types of castles you can experience for Christmas and a little bit of an idea on the cost basis for each of those. If we then look at where do you start? How do you choose a castle? I think one of the things I hear most with clients who come through is they are overwhelmed with the choice. And I suppose to start with, there are no two castles the same. So as a result, you can't compare and contrast. So I often think there's a couple of areas that you need to think of when you're starting to explore and search and research these properties. I think first thing is budget. Are you looking for a hotel experience, a self-catering vacation rental experience, or you want to, significantly mark an occasion, a 50th, 60th birthday, or whatever that might be, or a festive stay, etc. So budget has to come in at the start, and that's going to lead you down a certain number of tracks. Numbers of people then, once you know your group size, you can then start to search, certainly on our site, by numbers, and that again will whittle down the choice and make it easier for you to see what's available. Some people have pets. You might need a castle that would accept pets. So there's lots of variables. And sometimes I would say to a client, the best thing to do is to start creating a list that says, these are what I'm looking for, this is what I'm not looking for. And then that helps you, you know, I suppose, plus and minus the properties that you come across. Because people spend a long time doing the research. Location's a key element as well. If you're flying in and you don't want to travel too far, or you've got somebody who is limited with travel, then, you want to be near an airport. Luckily, all around the UK, there's a lot of, international airports, whether that's in Ireland, Scotland, or England, that service all of the areas where the castles are. So it's probably 2 hours max, even 3 hours, but, a lot of these castles are within an hour and a half of a good airport. And then it's the style of castle. Are you looking for something medieval? Did you want the stone spiral staircases like we saw in Castle Law? Or do you want something with a spa, a swimming pool? There's not many that have swimming pools, as you can imagine, but there are some facilities and properties that do offer that. And is it, are you wanting a more modern feel as opposed to a more rustic feel? So that's back. And type, I suppose, links into budget again. Hotel, a lot of castle properties or properties that call them castles aren't true castles, they're baronial homes. So again, just look at the photography within those. I think another key thing is think about the timing. So especially for exclusive use, we touched on at the beginning, weddings are very popular at castles and they get booked up well in advance, probably 2 years in advance. So as a result, the weekends can go very, very quickly. But if you're flexible and you can do a 4 or 5 night stay, go midweek. And that works, really well with transport as well. Um, Peak times or times to book, again, depending on the property, some will sell quicker than others. And for festive stays, obviously, I touched on earlier on, January is a good time to start, but the peak time is generally September. But a lot of people are disappointed because the availability isn't there and the choice of particular rooms, which we've demonstrated already. But another thing to do is just pick up the phone, drop an email, or arrange a Zoom call. And what we can do, if we've got your wish list and areas that you're interested in and what the group wants to do, we could then shortlist that and really, get you to focus on maybe 4 or 5 properties or even down to one property, to be honest. But likewise, if you've already done that shortlist, we're able to compare and contrast. And I think that's one of the lovely things that I'm blessed with. I get to stay in all of these properties and get to, spend time with the owners and the management teams that run them. So we're able to compare and contrast each property. Yes, you could do this here. This owner is a bit more relaxed about this. If you're looking for something that doesn't have a chip in the paint, this is not the castle for you. It's got wear and tear, but this one's absolutely perfect. So shortcut that once you've done the research, or maybe use that to start things going. And then from there, you very much get that opportunity to, focus on what you want. But, those are probably the 5 key areas that I think people look for. So, shall we open up some questions? I know we've got a few people.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we lost a lot, so
yeah,
that's
we
okay,
did,
though.
unfortunately, but
That's
hopefully
okay.
we'll pick them up on the record.
I was going to say too, and I'll release the recording. But if you want to contact me directly, I can always arrange with Roger how to, like he went through, whittle down the choices and find the best options for you and get you the information that you need to make those choices. So please feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll do these again. We'll do another one of these. Um, and continue
Yeah,
our
we'll get the timing right next time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I'm so excited. I mean, the content is so absolutely beautiful, and the concept of spending Christmas or really any time in one of these castles is absolutely such a beautiful, beautiful holiday option. So I think it's going to be very popular with our group.
That's lovely, Sally. No problem. Let me just see. Have we got a chat here? Yeah, great overview. Thank you very much, Sally and Roger. Pleasure, Mary. Marion.
Yes, our pleasure. So I guess if there's no more questions, we'll wrap it up. But Roger, again, thank you so much for coming into the group and for being a preferred partner for us. This is a very exciting product, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to people about it.
That's fine. Thank you, Leslie, for your comments. Yeah, thank you, Casa. And sorry about the little blip in the middle.
No worries. We'll do it again.
Wow. Okay. So yes, it's just thank yous. There's no other questions.
If you think of anything later, you can always private message me or email me if you have my email. I should say that. My email is sally@vbdusa.com. So
What
please
I'll
feel
do
free.
is I'll put a link. There's a link there as well.
Oh, awesome.
If,
Okay.
if anybody
And
wants to go on the site.
I should say, yeah, I'll write my email in here. I should say that I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter because that's really where all of the information will be, um, as well as other partners of ours that come through monthly. So there's my email.
Perfect. Okay.
Roger, thank you again. Such a lovely presentation. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Sally. That's it. Shall we call it a wrap then?
I guess we'll wrap it up until I see you in a Celtic castle.
All right.
Thank you again, Roger, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And look forward to some more Christmas in July celebrations in the group.
Perfect.